Welcome everybody, I came by Rubey and thank you for coming back. Before I get into the video, I had a couple of people come to me and ask me if I came by Rubey, if you want to put a suggestion or we wanted you to do a video or ask a question, how could you? And one thing is if you actually subscribe, there's a link there, an email that you can reach me at, and or write in the comments of something or a topic if you wanted to talk about, and I would definitely cover that. So one that came up was actually communication. I had, I think, one or two videos, maybe prior to this, but this was something specific. And what I want to talk about, some are just my own experiences and with people that I've talked to, and even gone over certain things. And what it is communication within relationships. This is sometimes can become a very touchy subject because believe this or not, you can talk sometimes to a complete stranger and actually might be able to get your point across. But how would I say this? Speaking to someone you love or your significant other or a family member or even a coworker. And let's just use, for example, relationships. In a relationship, there's always a way that we know basically what ignites someone or might get them mad or just by doing a certain thing. I know for myself when I before started working on myself years back, when I wanted to put something across, I my how I presented or how I came out or my demeanor would either sometimes shut my significant other person that I'm trying to speak to right away off because of what the demeanor you're coming out with or how you're doing or your tone or your speech or even down to your actions or facial expressions. Remember, through communication, you have verbal and nonverbal. The nonverbal could be just as bad as the verbal. Think about it. If you're speaking, let's again back to a relationship, and like for instance, for me and mine, I had to really learn how to communicate and at the same time listen. Listening is a skill within itself. A lot of times nowadays we have lost this because someone might talk and say, "So what do you think?" And you look like, "Oh my gosh, what they say." That's why I started to build up on that technique and gift of actually listening, so that I don't get caught in those type of moments, and actually attentively listen to someone, and that stems back even through communication. Sometimes it's hard to get our point across, but the one thing, if I could give you any word of advice, would be compromise. And why I say compromise is because one, if you talk to that person, your demeanor, how you come across, right? Two, listening. And three, compromise. So you got three things there. If anyone wanted to work on something or within their relationship or amongst a couple, whoever it may be, you would really want to work on what? How to communicate through non-verbal and verbal, your expression, your face, your demeanor, how you're coming off to that other person, right? Then, after that, you want to listen. Whoever goes first or second, and third, the compromise. This is one of the toughest things because when we're in any type of relationship, we want to put our ideas or thoughts very upfront, and we're very passionate about, no, this is why it is this way, or this is why I want to do this, or why can't you just understand? And it goes on and on and on. Another thing is when you try to push something too much, sometimes you will get either or, male, female, whoever's in the relationship or with a family member. This is towards everything, you know. But specifically for an example, we use in relationships, the other person might shut down. And in shutting down, now you have cut off all access to everything. Now, as opposed what? Now we stop the whole route of the communication. And in good defense of whoever's trying to put it forth, how did you come about? How was your verbal and nonverbal communication skills? These are things that took me a long time to really work out, not to get mad, to listen, and also to understand the other person's idea or concept or what it is they were trying to put forth. And then I would speak to my significant other, then I would listen to them, they would listen to me, and then I would say, so how can we address this situation? How can we compromise? And This is going to be a little tough because now people might be like, oh, I can't buy Rubey. You got to let something go in order to receive. So you got to give a little and the other person has to give a little. Why you have to give a little is because I'll explain. If you don't, all that talking and point you want to put across, but you're not willing to what? Compromise. You specifically want your way. That's it. There's no other option. I don't want to talk about it no more. Now, when you get into that attitude, look what happens. It shuts down everything immediately. So now you can't even get to that level of the compromise. It was already done from the beginning at the verbal and nonverbal stage. The best advice is for me to give anybody through communication and skills with anyone you deal in life, especially in relationships. Be truthful with your feelings. And as well as when you're being truthful, be respectful of what the other person is trying to say or get across. At the same time, you must respect the other person speaking. See, so it's almost like a two-way street. A lot of times in relationships, sometimes we tend to get more, I don't know how to explain it, but when one person starts to put forth that force or energy or that blockage, you might receive it back. Or maybe there is no communication, so it might be a one-way street. All in all, you must figure out within that relationship what the female, guy, whoever it is in your relationship, or co-worker or family, how can you both communicate on a level that you can successfully reach a compromise? Now, to be honest with you, will this happen instantly? No, it takes time, just like anything. You have to work at it. You got to try to achieve it. And you got to try to understand, if you love each other truly and want the best interest for whoever is involved in your family, whether you have kids or live with your in-laws or have family or extended family, whoever it may be, or into your job or into your close friends, if you cannot listen to each other, make the compromises, but instead when someone says something, take it as criticism. A lot of times I had to myself learn how to battle that, because some people might be just trying to give you some type of advice or tell you, hey, you're behaving in this manner, I'm just trying to talk to you, and boom, you put up that defensive shield, the criticism. A lot of times people have asked me, what is that about? A lot of it for myself was past prior experiences, and still thinking that I have to always have that defensive mechanism up and not let it down, because I'm either, some people might say like, this is just examples, like maybe I've shown weakness, or no, I got to put my point across. Or a lot of times what's hard for us to understand is to put ourselves in that other person's shoes, especially when it comes to anything of family issues. Because if we were very realistic, when it comes to certain family things, you're like, it will cause a rift. Because even though you're, let's say, for instance, married, and your family becomes their family becomes yours. But as soon as there's something that become that thin line where you have to choose, hey, are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? And then it's this family or that family, your family, her family. It doesn't matter which side of the family. But sometimes that will cause a rift. And you got to understand, if you stick together, talk, listen, don't put up defensive blocks, and compromise. You got to compromise. And both parties have to realize you got to give a little, the other one's got to give a little. And that doesn't mean that either one is wrong. When I started to realize this within my life, it saved me a lot of headache. Doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong. No, it's matter is to get your point across, one and the other, to go sit at that. And look, I understand if you cannot, let's say I give you exercise to do. If you can't talk to each other, write it down on paper what you believe and what you want to talk about. If you can talk to each other and tell each other what it is you want, then write the compromise on the paper and have the other person write the compromise on another paper. I'll tell you why this exercise works. Because when you self-talk within your mind, it's not an animal talking or nothing like this, or a female voice if you're a guy, or if you're a guy, a female, it's not a guy's voice. It's your own intuition, your own voice speaking to you, right? So when you're reading, it's like you're reading and your own inner self is speaking to you. That yourself might calm you because the other person, maybe they might be agitated or mad, and that the verbal communication part of it is just getting to you. It's like, oh my gosh. But now when you're reading it in that effect, it what? May just calm you down to be like, oh my gosh, I kind of get what this person's saying. So through everything, if I have to leave you with something, with especially communications within relationships, listen to each other. You don't have to agree. That's why we're all different. But at least go and think about it and see what the person's saying. And then you don't have to go at right that moment. Come back to it. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. Say, let's just think about it. This is what I feel. That's what you feel. Let's see what we can do and compromise for us to both work this out where it benefits what? Both parties. Not one or the other side. Both. Is it harder said than done? Absolutely. But wouldn't that be better than just bickering and trying to get your point and get your point and that person get their point across, and then really what happens? Nothing. Maybe now the couple's not speaking to each other, or you're staying in. I'm telling you all from experience, like separate parts of the house or in the room, or I don't want to be near that person. Think about all that energy you put into that. Use that energy for the compromise. Try it. Doesn't hurt, right? If it doesn't work, what did you lose? Absolutely nothing. But if it does work and does help you and come up with your own techniques or something that you can do to get across, and remember, it's up to us to change internally and help each other, especially when it's in relationships. You're a couple, and always remember this. When you got married, it was two that were supposed to become as one, which is very hard because we're our own people. But that still doesn't mean that one becoming one is the compromise within all aspects of your life. Take care, everyone. I Can by Rubey.